So one of the things I've been talking about for years here on this YouTube channel is fighting total body chronic inflammation. This is the silent, like almost non-feelable flame that you have within your bodies. And it's there for a good reason, right? Inflammation helps us recover. It's one of our body's natural defense mechanisms. And for so many of you, I think it's almost like inflammation is a ghost because you can't always feel it. And you don't always know that it exists, but it's there. And if you're not taking care of it, it could lead to a lot of different problems. For myself, it's led to ulcerative colitis and gut issues. But that's not all it could lead to. It could definitely lead to achy joints. It could definitely lead to disease like cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. But one of the big things you might not realize is how inflammation can affect your testosterone levels. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get out of here, out of this awful sunlight, well, awful bad light because there's shadows all over the place, and those hawks fighting with each other over there. And I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna talk to you about how inflammation can affect your testosterone levels and how you can stop it from lowering and decreasing your testosterone. One of the big things to understand right at the start, as far as your testosterone production goes and your inflammatory levels, is that the Leydig cells, these are the cells within your testicles that produce testosterone, they're extremely sensitive. So if your inflammatory levels are high enough, it can actually start to kill off those Leydig cells. And that can shut off your testosterone right at the source. Another thing to consider here is that your testicles aren't the only organs involved in testosterone production. Your brain actually has a very, very big role as far as maintaining your hormonal balance. And so if you have high enough levels of chronic inflammation, you can get inflammation in your brain. And that can also lead your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland to not work properly. And that can decrease your production of things like growth hormone. It can decrease your production of testosterone precursors. It can decrease your production of thyroid hormone. And all of these things can create a cascade, whether we're talking about testosterone precursors or not. Being deficient in any hormone can create a negative cascade that will eventually lead to a testosterone deficiency and an overall hormonal imbalance. And this is true of both men and women. So when we consider that inflammation can have a huge impact across the board as far as your testosterone production goes, it's a wonder why more lifters, more people who are into building muscle, more athletes aren't worried about protecting their endocrine systems. And so a huge part of protecting your endocrine system is in fighting total body chronic inflammation. So now the question comes up, well, how do we do this? How do we fight total body chronic inflammation, and how do we protect our testosterone levels? Well, it always starts, and this is not going to be news to anybody who's been watching me for a while, it always starts with your digestive tract. Everything starts with your gut. So why is this? Why would inflammation in your gut really affect the rest of your body? Well, your gut is, one, connected directly to your brain via the longest nerve in your body called the vagus nerve. I've talked about this hundreds of times in other videos. And so anything that affects your intestinal tract is also going to affect your brain. And they say you have two brains, one up here and one down here in your intestinal tract. The other thing is that your intestinal tract actually houses a large part of your immune system, another thing that I've talked about constantly. And the separation points between your immune system and the anterior lining of your intestinal tract, very, very thin. That lining can often be only a single cell thick. And so if there's anything that damages the intestinal tract, we're talking about something that can affect your entire immune system, right? So if you've got food particles that get through what they call a permeable gut, or more popularly known as leaky gut syndrome, that can release inflammatory cytokines, right? And these cytokines can cause high levels of inflammation in your intestinal tract, that in turn can affect your brain. It could also lead to inflammation around your body. So again, we're talking about achy joints, we're talking about brain fog, we're talking about lack of performance, we're talking about increased risk of diabetes, cancer, and heart disease, and autoimmune disease, and we're also talking about affecting your testosterone levels through Leydig cell failure. So the first step, if you are experiencing a hormone imbalance, a hormone deficiency, whether you're a man and a woman, whether you're a man or a woman, it should be to start by fixing your digestive system, right? So, making sure that you're eating good prebiotics. I talked about resistant starch the other day, right? Giving those healthy bacteria good food to eat with those prebiotics so that they can take up more real estate in your digestive tract and stave off the unfriendly bacteria. Making sure that you're populating your gut, actively populating your gut with friendly bacteria by eating fermented foods, by taking probiotics, making sure that you're chewing your food, right? I talked about this the other day as well. Digestion starts, well, I actually didn't talk about, I was writing it in an article, but digestion starts up here, right? When you're chewing your food, you release enzymes that help to break that food down. And if you're allowing large food particles to get down into your stomach and then down into your intestinal tract, that can lead to a higher chance of gut permeability, right? So make sure you're chewing your food. The longer you chew, the more those enzymes get released. Making sure that you're keeping enough acid in your stomach. A lot of people think that indigestion comes from having too much acid. It actually comes from not having enough acid. So taking a little bit of apple cider vinegar in the morning along with some water. Don't drink it straight. It's very painful. Trust me, I know. But putting a couple of tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and water in the morning and drinking that can increase the acidity of your stomach, and that can help with digestion in the stomach, right? Your stomach, a lot of nutrient absorption doesn't occur in the stomach. That's just where food starts to break down because of stomach acid. It's kind of like a vat where everything's held until it starts to empty into the intestinal tract, and then in the intestinal tract is where a lot of absorption occurs. You also want to be healing your gut, right? And so I talked about populating and feeding the bacteria in your gut, but you also want to be healing your gut, right? In consuming foods like bone broth that has a lot of collagen in it and a lot of glutamine, right? Glutamine is really important for healing that interior lining of the intestinal tract. And it's been something that's very helpful for me with my ulcerative colitis. Taking a collagen protein that's loaded with glutamine has been very helpful with me healing the interior lining of my intestinal tract. Also, consuming grass-fed butter has been very helpful for me as well, and ghee, because of the high levels of butyrate. Right, butyrate is a fatty acid that helps with healing that interior lining. And if you listen to my video about resistant starch the other day, consuming resistant starch and feeding the bacteria in your intestinal tract can actually get them to release butyrate, and that can help with healing that interior lining. Okay, so beyond that, once you've fixed the gut, the next thing you want to do is think about taking anti-inflammatory foods, making sure that you're getting a good amount of omega-3s, right? So when we're talking about omega-3s, we're talking about EPA and DHA. EPA is really great for healing total body chronic inflammation, your joints, aches and pains around your body. Awesome. DHA is so important for your brain. It's very important for healing those myelin sheaths that get damaged because of lack of sleep, because of brain damage and things like that. And so getting enough an EPA and DHA rich omega-3 fish oil or algal omega-3 supplement from algae, so important for repairing your brain. Actually, 1/3 of the dry weight of your brain is fat, and a lot of that is actually DHA. So make sure you're getting enough DHA. Also, you can take anti-inflammatory supplements like curcumin, and I've talked about this a bunch of times on this YouTube channel and on our podcast. But curcumin, remember, it's not very absorbable. And so what you need to do is you need to take curcumin with a black pepper extract, and you also want to consume it with a good bit of fat because it's fat soluble. That can help you to increase the effectiveness of your curcumin by 1,000%. So definitely make sure you're taking curcumin, but make sure you're taking it with a black pepper extract, and make sure you're taking it with a meal that's got a good amount of fat in it. Right. Now, one of the things I like to do is if I am consuming a meal, what I'll do is I'll take some turmeric, or I'll break open a curcumin capsule, I'll stick it in some oil, I'll stick in some black pepper into that oil, and I'll let it sit there for a bit, and then I'll just sprinkle that over my meals, and that could definitely help you to get like an anti-inflammatory salad dressing. Really awesome stuff. Another big factor here is going to be what you don't do and what you should avoid. You should avoid NSAIDs at all costs, right? NSAIDs are not good for you. Okay, you should use them as a last resort. I know so many athletes who just pop NSAIDs every time they come out of the gym, and they're all sore and achy all the time, and they get injuries that don't heal. And that's because you're completely eliminating any inflammation throughout the body. And so what happens is, in order to heal, in order to recover after a workout, your body actually needs a little bit of inflammation. And so if you're taking an NSAID directly after a workout, or even up within 12 hours after a hard workout, it can really inhibit your ability to heal. So if you do get injured and you need a pain reliever, I would wait a good bit of time. I would wait at least 12 to 24 hours in order to give yourself a good window before you take it. And again, I would take it as a last resort, and I would not take it often. I know so many people who take these every day. They're also horrible for your gut health. They can actually keep your intestinal tract from healing and repairing, and that could lead to ulcers, and that could lead to ulcerative colitis. And trust me, having ulcerative colitis, I will tell you that it will make your life absolutely miserable. So if you're looking for pain relief, I would suggest going for a more natural pain reliever like phenylkine, which is actually made up of curcumin and a whole host of other anti-inflammatory compounds. Really, really much better factor. Okay, so those are some things that can help you to fight inflammation in order to preserve your testosterone levels. Just understand here that I know sometimes I get into things and people are like, dude, you're just a hippie. What the heck are you talking about? One, I'm not a hippie. Number two, there's really good science backing this, stating that your inflammatory levels can definitely affect your intestinal, not only your intestinal tract, it can definitely affect your testosterone levels. And if you ignore them, what happens is you end up getting into a space where you're going to have to decrease your physical activity. You're not going to be able to live life the way you want to, and it's going to happen long before you're ready. Trust me on this. When I went through my ulcerative colitis flare-ups, it's the worst feeling in the world, believing that your body's turning on you and believing that you're just not capable anymore. So go get out there, take care of yourselves, and if you want to know more, definitely check out all the rest of the videos here on this YouTube channel. You can just go into my videos, and I've done hundreds and hundreds of videos on this stuff. You can also check out my website, www.warriorsoulagogi.com. I've got podcasts up there with guys like Ben Greenfield, Thomas DeLauer, Dr. Terry Walls, all talking about inflammation. Dr. Mark Gordon and Andrew Moore talking about inflammation and traumatic brain injury. There's so many resources up there. All my videos are up there as well, and a lot of different articles. So with that, guys, I will be back at you later on this week with more videos. I hope you found this informative. If you like this channel, please subscribe, hit that bell so you get reminded when I post videos. I'm posting them 4 or 5 days a week, and that's about it, guys. Talk to you all soon.